And also remember, don't believe what I'm saying in this video. This video is all for entertainment purposes.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also.
Senator Scott Motley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it is well established both inside the chamber and outside that the State of the Nation is one of the most important speeches that a senator can make, and that usually a significant and considerable amount of time goes into the preparation. In fact, there are persons here who have published publications of their presentation. Mr. President, I have to speak extemporaneously today because it was my understanding that there was only one person who would speak today to close the debate. The person who opened it as Senator Cavan Gale. And because I am one of those persons who believes that when arrangements and agreements are arrived at between both sides, they will be honored, I did not make any preparation to speak. But I thank Senator Abkafis Henley for giving me the opportunity, firstly, to thank President Tom Tavares Vinson, to start by thanking him for encouragement, for support, for guidance of the meetings both here and in the Standing Orders Committee. I appreciate the balanced way in which he approaches matters, and I thank him for recognizing that it was both my duty and my obligation to rise today. I want to thank the staff of the Parliament who work so hard and under challenging times as they are not able to sometimes go to have lunch. And I know that is not good for their health and it's a tremendous sacrifice. There are many colleagues on that side, on the government side, with whom I've developed relationships and for whom I have high regard and respect in the way that they discharge their duties as a senator. They will know who they are. And on this side, I will say I have a family. I have developed close friendships with all of the persons here. I, in fact, have 2 grandchildren. And I'm looking forward to having a granddaughter, but I guess I have to wait on Senator Morris for that. I want to thank and acknowledge my husband, Elombe, the members of my law firm, in particular my sister. Yes, my husband is now in Barbados considered Dr. the Most Honorable Elton Elombe Motley. Very proud of him. And certainly he has made a difference to my life. But I cannot end the thanks if I do not mention my housekeeper, Miss Millie Lawrence. She is the support for my household. And she even, as Sophia, Senator Fraser Binns knows, sometimes the person who selects my wardrobe and I don't know what to wear. She said, "But what about that one there?" And I said, "Ooh, that's a good idea." But a lot of us know that we can't be here without our household help, and I just thank her so much. So I want to start my presentation with reference to the opening paragraph of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Had I had time, I would have chosen somebody from the Caribbean. But this, as I listened to Senator Fitzhenley, and as I've listened to the presentations by the government, it seems most timely, because it says it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, it was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity, it was the season of light, it was the season of darkness, it was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received for good or for ill in the superlative degree of comparison only. And every time I hear the government speak about its achievements, I wonder if it hears what the people are saying and what the people are feeling. Maybe if it did, the polls would be going in a different direction from what it is now. Because here, the people of Jamaica are hearing the statistics. We have the lowest unemployment rate at 3.6%, but over 600,000 people have given up on getting a job. They have left the category where they can be counted as unemployed. You have a job fair, which is catered for 600 people, and 3,000 people turn up. You advertise for a job where you need 2 people, and you can select from 200,000. And you know the sad thing? Most of them are barely literate, because we have failed them. Our educational standard is such that we have failed the country, and the majority of persons are barely literate. Then we go to the fact that poverty is at its lowest ever. How exciting, except the people don't feel that. Because we know that not only is it that people are feeling poor, but we have a whole new class of poor, retired civil servants. Senator Gale, who when they go to the supermarket, the few items that they can put in the trolley, when they reach the cashier, they have to put back some. People are hurting. People are feeling the pain. So when the words of prosperity are being sounded, prosperity everywhere, the question is, prosperity for whom? Who is feeling prosperous and who is doing well? Because the majority of the society is not. The report of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization says that 55.1% of the Jamaica's population experienced moderate or severe food insecurity for 2021 to 2023. When we take away the window dressing, it means that there are people who are hungry. It means that 55.1% of our population hungry. There are many people in our country who do not have a decent meal in a day. And how does the FAO put it? They say food insecurity refers to restricted access to food for individuals or households due to limitations of money or other resource. But what surprised me was one of the key findings of the report, that in 2022, approximately 22.1% of the Jamaican population could not afford a healthy meal. Their diet was deficient. And the thing that caught my attention, Senator Brown, was that it was one of the lowest proportions in the Caribbean. So the government is patting itself on the shoulders as to how remarkable and great a job it is doing. But the people are suffering. You know, I looked at those children up in the gallery, and it struck me that the age of the person when the JP first came to power the second time in 2016, they would have been 9 years old. They would reach voting age now. Those people who are going to vote in this upcoming election was 9 years old when the Jamaica Labour Party became the government. And how the Jamaica Labour Party intends to campaign is to go back to 1972. Senator Morris was born in 1997. What? So young. And all of these references that you make to 1972 show just how out of touch Senator Fitzhenry is with the population. They don't care. They don't care what happened in 1972. They care about now. And it takes me to the matter of... It takes me to the matter of the constitutional reform process on which we have embarked. You know, it's an irony. I didn't expect that I was going to speak today. But something inside of me told me that the Constitutional Reform Committee chat that we established was no longer a place that I should be. And so I feel, in a sense, liberated. But what I did say to the members was that the first few months that we sat in that room were particularly uplifting to me. And I said it then many times, because I said nobody could walk in this room and tell who supports the JP and who supports the PNP. Because the whole point of it is that we were so united. We were so fixed and focused on the mandate which we had got to transform Jamaica that we didn't wear any clothing that had colors. And it was just, I learned so many lessons from it, because what I learned is that when a people have differences and they sit down and they work it through, you can in fact arrive at a consensus. Senator Golden Campbell, we practice it all the time. It's called mediation. It's called mediation, and the minister, Delroy Chuck, has been promising from the last manifesto that he would bring a mediation bill. Well, we're still waiting to see. But Minister Chuck makes a lot of promises. We just don't see them brought to fruition. But I want to tell you how I am now seeing this whole road to the Republic. I go back to the beginning. We first met in March 2023. We got the terms of reference, and we got a time frame. The time frame was that the bill would be tabled in Parliament May 2023. So we had March, April, by the end of May, there would be a bill here. I want to remind everybody that this sort of journey on which we have embarked, when the framers of the 1962 Independence Constitution considered it, they said the people had to be engaged. So it's not the parliamentarians who can sit down and table a constitutional amendment and debate it the same day and pass it the same day, as is the habit of the government of Jamaica. Tabling a constitutional amendment, say let's debate it, using their majority to pass it, come to the Senate, do the same thing, table and take, and pass. No, this one involves the people of Jamaica. And the people of Jamaica in a referendum have to vote and say yes, they want to become a republic. For me, that meant we would firstly have to educate them, because some people have never seen a constitution. Highly educated people amongst us have never had the opportunity to see a constitution. Some of them think it's a row of black law books. And when you hold up this simple document and say, this is the Constitution of Jamaica, they are totally taken aback. So first of all, they don't know what is in it. So we have to discuss it with them. And we have to discuss the changes that we are going to make. How would we be able to sit down as a constitutional reform committee, deliberate amongst ourselves, and take it to the people and formulate a bill all within 3 months if we were serious about it? And I have concluded the government never intended to really take this journey far enough. That is my conclusion. Because first of all, they could never have expected that process of engagement and consultation could have taken place in 3 months. And nothing has happened since then to make me change my mind. When the Joint Select Committee on Constitutional Reform, the Road to the Republic, was convened, for the first time in the history of my sitting on Joint Select Committees, for the first time, and the records will show that I as a fully employed person, managing a small law firm, having other responsibilities, I am one of the best attending persons at a Joint Select Committee because I take my work seriously. So I know the structures. And when you say you're giving the public 2 weeks to comment on the bill, you can't possibly be serious. You can't be serious. Because you give them 6 weeks on ordinary legislation. And now the most significant piece of legislation which has ever been passed in the history of this country, you give them 2 weeks to make a submission? It's not a runaway train, you know. It's not to satisfy somebody's ego. It's not because the government feels that they can use this situation to pillory the PNP by saying the PNP don't want to leave the monarchy. Those are not the considerations that should drive this process. The considerations we should drive this process is a genuine effort to unite the country about a matter. So you give 6 weeks for submissions on ordinary bills. You allow people who ask for an extension to get an extension. I don't know, but Senator Golden Campbell, I don't even think you have a date on a caveat on when submissions can be received for your committee. Pardon me? February 15th, and you started December. Not unreasonable. Not unreasonable. But you yourself would have looked at this Republic Bill. It is introducing fundamental changes. We are now going to elect or select a president. The method of doing so must be deeply scrutinized by the people. We are expanding the Senate. We are proposing that the president can appoint independent senators. The people have a duty to be able to look at it to say, is it supposed to be marginalized in the role of the opposition, or does it enhance the process? And everybody needs time to go through that. Because indeed, we say the Constitution is for the ordinary man in the street. But the way in which this government is approaching the issue of constitutional reform demonstrates to me that they have no intention of involving the people of Jamaica. None. So we will go to a referendum. That's the people. And if the people don't know what they're voting for, they have to vote no. If you don't understand the complexity, if you bother to turn up, you're going to turn up no. And Senator Hill, I had a dream. I realize sometimes that I dream too much, especially when it comes down to the type of Jamaica I want to see. Because my dream was that they... Even Siri wants to join in this conversation, so you must know how important it is. My dream was that this would be the one time that the country could get an opportunity to see the opposition and the government participating and trying to persuade the country that this is the right thing to do. So the sticking matter is a matter of the apex court. Which court should be our final court of appeal? The People's National Party had tabled a bill to join the CCJ in 2015. The opposition, then led by Andrew Holness, was mortally against the CCJ, to the point where, in order to hang onto the Privy Council, he asked that his senators sign an undated letter of resignation. And the whole point of it is, there was no attempt really to say why you shouldn't join the CCJ or why you should remain with the Privy Council. It was just almost an intuitive, instinctive, kind of visceral response to having a court of appeal, which was a regional court of appeal. And good things came out of that, because every single opposition which was raised by the then opposition was taken into account, and it has made for the court to be stronger. So 20 years later, the Jamaica Labour Party still does not have a defined view. So you want to make it, you want a local court of appeal?
Just because Bruce is no longer the leader, because Bruce is no with CCJ.
You want a local court of appeal? Going to come to it.
Thank you.
I want to ask Minister Chuck how he felt when staff was demonstrating in St. Catherine, demonstrating against the infrastructure in the course at St. Catherine. I want to ask Minister Chuck how he felt when the staff at the Supreme Court pointed out that they were carrying home termites and roaches in their handbags back to their home. I want to ask Minister Chuck, why is it that he said that he was unaware of these conditions when there had been protests and when the matters had been brought to his attention for a long time? I want to ask him if he knew that halfway tree sick bay was being used to assist the running of the court's office. The boast again, the tale of two cities. This is the largest amount that has ever been allocated. But it don't matter if you have the money if you're not spending it in the right places. There is almost no court in Jamaica which is not in need of upgrading. I have called for him to do an audit of the parish courts so that he can see what needs to be done. But nothing has happened. I have called for him to increase the monetary limit in the parish court so less people have to bring their matters to the Supreme Court, where the backlog is choking our country Whereas in the parish court, it has now become seamless for the matters to proceed. And I say, if you can't even get that right, how you will establish a final court of appeal here? But I'm always willing to listen. So let me hear the plans. Sit down and explain to me your time frame for doing that and what plans you have. You see, Mr. President, this mythical phase 2, we don't understand because there is lack of trust. You know, just like how we agree that it's only Senator Gale who talk today, but Senator Fitzgerald talk, can't have trust because we don't know where the word going to be broken. So we are saying this is a matter which involves an important decision which can be dealt with in now. At the same time, as you leave the monarch, leave the court. So we don't have a situation where the monarch's court is determining constitutional issues here. So for example, as Trevor Monroe, the columnist, wrote, if the NITS case was now to be heard and to be appealed, it would be the monarch who would determine and rule on the actions of the legislature and the actions of the judiciary. If you want that, come and tell us. If that's what you want, if you never want to de-link, if you are going to be the last man standing at the Privy Council because you feel that that is the only place you can get justice, then tell us. Tell us why. You know, Senator Hill. I take my word very seriously. And so I do not intend, let me put it as nicely as I can, for anybody to draw my tongue and to make me breach any undertakings I've given. Suffice it to say that the leader of opposition did not name anybody to the Constitutional Reform Committee until we all met. The Jamaican Union of Churches hosted that meeting, and we had a full and frank discussion, very helpful discussion. And after that, the members were named to the committee. And there are other meetings we have had in which assurances have been given as to an approach. But I want to go. But at the yes. But not only that, to the Constitutional Reform Committee, the minister promised us that the Prime Minister would have come to Parliament and addressed it in October 2023, and it has never been done. So why you would expect us to trust that it will be done in phase 2? I am simply saying let us talk about it now. But this has reached a stage where it's a public gas. So what was supposed to be a road to the Republic, done with the two of us holding hands, has now become totally embroiled in politics. It's not going to work. So you can go ahead and you can have your referendum. And you can say, you can go down in history again for the holding of a referendum. We've only had one before, 1961. But I want to make a point. Because, one of the points that they keep on making, is that, we were only supposed to deal with consensus matters, and there's no consensus on the court. Well, I want to ask this question. In 2023, a poll was carried out, and 91.5% of the populace said they wanted impeachment. They wanted impeachment provisions. That was part of the 1995 Joint Select Committee recommendations on which the entire Republic Bill is supposed to be anchored according to the terms of reference. But there is no impeachment. That is after Prime Minister, I don't want to misquote anybody, I think Prime Minister Bruce Golding and Prime Minister Andrew Holness both said that within 100 days they would have an impeachment bill. And I do apologize if the time frame is inaccurate. But I do know that in 2011, Prime Minister Bruce Golding tabled the impeachment bill. I do know that. Oh, you mean Andrew never said it? Oh. And I do know that the leader of opposition, Mark Golding, tabled an impeachment bill as well. So if you ever wanted consensus and agreement by the public, impeachment is one. But it is not in the Republic Bill. It is not in the Republic Bill. There is no recommendation for it to be included in our new constitution. And I will add further that indeed this government only has selective hearing, because it never heard that from the public, and it has not heard that over 56% of the people want us to join the CCJ. How do they say they care? How do they say they really represent the people? As Senator Crawford would say, what can go so? I will turn, as I do not have a prepared script, maybe you're all very lucky.
Senator Scott Motley, you don't have a prepared script, but you have breached your time.
All right, I want 5 more minutes.
Senator Hill, and I noticed that you're going on my head draw with Ransford and then make Ransford want to talk, and not allowing it. Senator Hill?
Mr. President, it's my pleasure to ask that we extend, it's only her, my pleasure to ask that the Senator's time has expired, that we extend it for her to finish her presentation.
In favor? Senator Scott Motley.
Thank you very much, Senator Hill. Senator Fitzhenley spoke about corruption. And we all have to acknowledge that there is corruption on both sides. There's always been. Nobody has a monopoly on it. But when you come here and you pretend that your side has only done wonderful things for Jamaica, and that your side has never done an act of corruption. Well, let me start. Senator Hill, you have prompted me to refer to the first act of corruption, which it is alleged took place under the Andrew Holness-led administration in 2016. And you know why that one can't leave my mind? Because crime is something that all of this country is concerned about. When one person dies, all of us feel it. We feel unsafe, we feel unsure, and we are frightened. And the first act of corruption which came to light was the used car police scandal. I mean, seriously, of all the things to choose, you spend the money on used cars for the police, and up to now today, the used car is not delivered. After you say that crime is on your priority. No, but if you're going to buy the used car, at least get them. At least get them because we can start. But not even that have we got. You talk, and you use my words. I just want to remind you about the campaign when Andrew Holness was challenged for leadership and the scurrilous accusations which were made against him. And I want to remind you in particular that Minister Delroy Chuck, who now twists himself in a pretzel over the Integrity Commission to the point where people are saying, is everything okay with Minister Chuck? Was one of those who said that Andrew should resign because after the court ruling, he said he was not fit to lead the Jamaica Labour Party. What can go so? So you have come such full circle in the protection of the leader. The leader has not been certified. From all accounts, there are matters which are concerning and it cannot be certified. And none of you find a problem with that? It's not one of us, it's not just a senator, it's not just a parliamentarian. It's a person who sets the moral compass for the entire country. And on top of it, he goes to the court to ask the court to declare a bill which was passed by this government of Jamaica in 2017, piloted by Minister Delroy Chuck, who now criticizes every clause as though he has never read it. The Prime Minister goes to the court to ask the court to declare it unconstitutional. It is amazing that the double standards are so glaring to the public that they see that parliamentarians will do everything to protect themselves. And if the law don't suit them, then just simply go to court or change it. The people deserve more. The people deserve better. And that is why they have asked for impeachment provisions, because they want a say. But, Mr. President, I have been asking some persons a question. small business owners, large business owners. And I've asked them, if you hire a CEO to run your business, and you watch your business declining, you're losing money. There is no growth in your country, in your business, I'm sorry. No growth. Everything is just leaking out. All the projections which were there, nothing has been achieved. And you find out that your CEO on the job is operating 28 bank accounts, passing $473 million through these accounts, and is doing a doctorate. Is doing a doctorate on the job. What would you do with that person? Everybody, regardless of which side they supported, because I didn't put it as a political question, them say you'd have to fire him.
Yeah.
You would have to fire any such person, because it would be clear, I borrow the president's word, it would be pellucid that your CEO is not paying any attention to your business. And I say to the people of this country, Andrew Holness is not paying attention to your business. So what we're seeing is a country which is heading towards recession. We are seeing a country, Minister Hill, where I remember, export. That was your mantra. Exports are down. What are the numbers now? So all of the things, you can address it. All of the indicators which we are looking at do show that the CEO is too busy doing other things to take care of the country. And he should be fired. He should be fired. I believe, listen, you all need to spend some time with some other people apart from yourselves. Because you actually live in a bubble. You actually live in a bubble. When you go all over the country, you're just talking to each other. And the infection, it don't matter if somebody has been there long or them just come. Somehow the infection spreads very rapidly. You understand? And you lose touch with what the people are feeling. Jamaica deserves to be great. Jamaica can be great. I quote former Prime Minister Golding when he says, and you know as soon as I said that, the quote got out of my head, but he says there's too much. Let me paraphrase him. Because what he was saying is that there's so much about us which is so great for us not to realize our full potential. And we are great people. We have one of the greatest thinkers in the world acknowledged with Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We have the fastest man in the world, the fastest woman in the world, the most famous musician in the world, all coming from this country. We have started an entire religion. There is nothing which we cannot achieve. All we need is the leaders who will inspire us to achieve it. It's not too late for us to work our way through having a referendum that replaces the monarch as head of our country. Kabad, you know, you tend to read the prayer a lot, and you have a very stentorial voice. And every time I hear you preach the part where you're praying for the king, I kind of wince. Because there are so many you could have prayed for the president. And we should have King Charles, after he leaves as a monarch, sending us orders from a foreign court. And we should at least have a court where lawyers and appellants don't have to get a visa to go. Just a simple respect. Respect is due. Mr. President, I thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a lot to unpack. Senator Scott Motley, she definitely spoke a lot of truth. And one of the things that stood out to me is that the JLP, they're definitely living in a bubble. What they say the state of the country is versus what the people on the ground is saying is they're absolutely out of touch. In regards to the constitutional reform, I do agree, and she even opened my eyes to a lot of things that I did not know in terms of the agreement. So they're using this political reform situation as some sort of way to, tear down the PNP. Oh, like they don't want this to happen. But the Jamaica Labour Party is playing games, in my opinion. Based off what Ms. Motley said, they're being disingenuous to the core, and there's no truth in them. They continuously come up on these presentations and lie. And she mentioned something about corruption, and she spoke about corruption on both sides, and I really love the fact that she did that. And she spoke about Montague, the car, the police car thing, right? How do you supposed to get police cars? You get the money for the police cars, but there was never no police cars. And these people talk about, we spent the most money on the security and securing our border and all of these things. When you look at the reality, even Mr. Rattigan had exposed that they were getting help with the border, and they were not going to pay $1. The Jamaica Labour Party wasn't going to pay $1. I think this was in 2018, 2019. And they did not take the deal from Secure Report. I have a video on my channel on that. You guys can go check it out. The fact of the matter is, man, Apka, he lied, and he was clearly debunked by Mrs. Scott Motley. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. I mean, there was a situation in Parliament where she was hugging on Miss Dalrymple. I did not like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I stand on it. But she's been around for a while, so I guess she's built relationship with these people. But yeah, Jamaica needs to be cleaned up. Oh, impeachment, very important. She exposed the impeachment situation. The fact that they don't want to take out impeachment out of it, and we the people, we want impeachment. That is a fact. We want y'all to go to jail when you rob us. If you rob us, when you steal taxpayers' money, you need to be imprisoned. Yes, you cannot be imprisoning regular folks for lesser crimes of theft, and you, the head, is a part of criminality, a part of alleged organized crime, and all of these things. So, and the final thing, she spoke about the Prime Minister, and she was so absolutely right. Nobody that is working for an organization with his track record, the country is going down the drain. 28 bank accounts. He going for fake doctorates so he can have the title of so-called doctor, and the country is in disarray. As a CEO, I have a company. I own a company, and my CEO is doing all of this. He's supposed to be fired. He's supposed to be removed, and that is exactly what we want to see. Moving forward, he should have been resigned. He should have been forced to resign. And the key thing for me is, like she said to them over there, you guys don't see nothing wrong with this. None of them have spoken out, and that's why none of them is qualified to run this country. Not even one member of the Jamaica Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen, is qualified to run this country, and that's a fact. All right, we're talking about the deeds. All right, they do not deserve to be in the position that they are. They have ran this country through the mud, through the ground. Hey, this is my position, and y'all know it. You ain't gotta vote for PNP, but you definitely cannot vote for this JLP. That is a no-no. They can't reform, put together, change up nothing. Even if Andrew Owens was to resign, I don't trust near one of them on that side. None of them. Not one. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. Shout out to the senator.